Hey guys, Courtney Mermaid here with this week's special interim in-between videos tail making Q&A video. I've collected the top 10 questions that I am asked off of my YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and I've compiled them here to hopefully answer them in the be-all and the end-all of everything, which I know is not going to be the case because there's always one person who's like, what paint do you use? I'm like, oh god, I say it so much. Okay, so yes, so I've made a list. I have my laptop here. I have my bird who just wants love, apparently. Just got home from work, dinner's on the stove, so that's why I'm a little like, woo, let's do this! A little frazzled, but let's do it. Okay. Okay, so this is probably the most commonly asked question. What kind of paint do I use? I use two kinds of paint, as well as fabric, it's a fabric glue, soft like puff glue, and then, yeah. So I use Permaset Aqua. I do not use the super cover. I use their regular textile printing ink, which I love. A lot. Permaset Aqua. That stuff is so good. It's beautiful. So that's the base color of my tails. I use Permaset Aqua. For the scales, I use a paint called Lumiere. I believe it's just Lumiere fabric paint. I think. And they're another fantastic product. I really, really love Lumiere paints. I think they're amazing. They're so creamy. They hold up really well under chlorine and salt water and that kind of thing. They maintain their integrity, like they stay that sparkly, shiny color that I like. So that's what I use. For some of the dots and little details that I put on my tails, I use a brand called Tulip, and they're just like, they're little tubes. Little tubes of paint that you can get places like Michael's, some other craft stores, fabric stores. Fabric stores will probably carry that kind of thing. And they're great. Do not use them in large quantities though. That's my biggest thing, is that sometimes they peel off and they do get damaged more than the other kinds of paint. So this is probably the next most commonly asked question. What kind of fabric do I use? Okay, so there are a lot of opinions about the kind of fabric that I use, when in fact there are actually many variations of the kind of fabric. So what I use is called spacer fabric. It can be bought off of spandexworld.com. They have two-way stretch and four-way stretch. I have not noticed a significant difference between the two, and yes, I have used both the two-way and four-way stretch fabrics. When it comes to spandex, I would say there's a bigger difference, but for the spacer fabric, I haven't noticed a significant difference. In the mermaid community, spacer is referred to often as neoprene. There are different kinds, so you have to be aware. A lot of mermaids have very strong opinions about neoprene, neoprim, and neoprine, and neoprime. There's a lot of different, basically it's not neoprene, there's no rubber in it, the way that there's in neoprene. I like it personally. I have not found that I've had big problems with them. I mean, it's spandex like it is anything else. I mean, it's a blend actually, but I like it a lot. Do your research. You also have to think of what kind of tail you're going to be making, how much you're going to be using it. Keep in mind, I'm a part-time mermaid, so I have a full-time job. I don't do this every single day for, 8 hours a day in the pool or anything like that, right? So that's why my tails do hold up a bit better, is because I'm not in them. But you know what? Whether you're gonna get spandex, or you're gonna get latex, or you're gonna get silicone, everything wears and tears. People wear and tear, okay? So that's something to take into consideration. So don't be totally put off when you read reviews and things like this. There are certain tail makers who use something like neoprene as a liner for their partial silicone tails. This is something I'm not super in the know about. I have heard bad things. But if you're making a tail for yourself, it can be a fun way to get started. So that's what I use. It's called spacer, but commonly referred to as neoprene or neoprime. So the kind of plastic that I use for the fringe and dorsal fins and sometimes pectoral fins of my tails is basically shelf liner that I can buy, or that you can buy at IKEA. I have also seen a material similar in dollar stores do carry something like that. You can use shower curtain material if you get the plastic kind. There's also a floor matting that can be bought from a home, like home hardware type stores will sell that. It's a floor matting often used for a base under your chair on carpet. But the kind of stuff that I use is from IKEA. I like it because it's soft on one side, very smooth on one side, and very rough and coarse, and so therefore it holds the paint a little bit better if I decide to color it a little bit on the other side. So this is a hugely asked question. It's not really tail making related, but given how often I'm asked this, how can I make my monofin more comfortable? This is a huge one. And boy, if I actually knew the ultimate answer to this, I think I'd be rich. I think I would be. There are a couple of things you can do. Neoprene booties. You can make yourself spandex socks. You can wear regular socks, which is actually what I do. I use a regular sport sock, just like a men's sock. I have big feet, so men's socks fit better. Other than that, I've seen people duct tape their feet. Being that I'm like super allergic to some adhesives, I don't recommend that. I break out into like hives and like a rash, and it's great. Don't do that, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, so if you have any suggestions, if you're a mermaid watching this and you have found the be-all and the end-all of foot comfort and you want to leave the secret, you can do so below in the comments, and maybe I can help share it and we can end foot pain in monofins. So E6000, neoprene, and the plastic. That's a common question. As you guys know, some plastic cannot be glued for the life of it. It just peels apart from the glue. The trick that I find is the way, and I will include the link to the video below where I talk about in mermaid school the plastic and the fringe. I'm actually using those Velcro patches and where I sew to help reinforce and keep the tail together with the plastic in the fabric. So you also have to kind of think ahead, which is why I use the kind of liner that I use. I use that plastic shelf liner from IKEA, specifically because it does have a coarse side and it does have a smooth side, and the coarse side is the side that I glue. And if there's a way that you could scratch into it a little bit, if you have to use something that's smooth to score it, basically, like you do in pottery, I think. Is that a thing? I don't do pottery, but I think that's a thing. That will help glue it together as well. So that's something to think about. You have to guess and test. Don't just get the plastic and get the fabric and then just hope to heck that it works if you've never done it before. Test it out. I cannot stress this enough. Whatever you do, if you end up spending a whole bunch of time on something and it doesn't work, speaking from experience, that tail fail video I did, I spent hundreds and hundreds of hours on that tail. I feel like I lost half my life to that tail. Like, seriously, that was ridiculous, and that thing was an utter disaster. Complete and utter failure. I can't even look directly at it anymore. Lessons were learned, but it was rough. So this is a common question, and a lot of different tail makers will approach this differently, depending on whether or not you're doing a full sequin tail or sequins as an accent will definitely determine whether or not you choose to glue or sew them in. If you're making a full sequin tail, I would highly recommend sewing them in. That seems to be the way that ladies are doing it, and that it seems to work the best. And for longevity and for that kind of thing, it seems to be the way to go. For my tails personally, I do not sew them in. It's deceptive. I actually glue them in using E6000 Glue. Different sequins will like this less and some will like it more. You have to test it. You have to test it out. I've had sequins actually melt, like flatten and melt from the E6000 glue being so harsh that they're like, and now those were not as expensive. Like those were like the cheaper. I found them in like a dollar store, like bulk. Like it just, but you have to test them out because some dollar store finds are great. Like some of the other accent sequins are dollar stores. You get for $1, you get like 400 sequins. You can't really go wrong with that, but you have to test. The sequins that I use come from Cartwright. I love them. They're great. They have a huge selection. Somewhere on the Mer network, I believe somebody's actually done, sorry, she's chirping like crazy. Burb! Hey! Stop it. Whoa. Somebody on Mer network has actually compiled a list, I believe. I can't find it. If you guys know where it is and want to leave it in the comments below, I would really appreciate that. Because some sequins will have the plastic and then foil on one side, and the glue will actually pull that apart. So that's something you have to test, and trial and error with that's going to be a big thing. But yes, I in fact glue my sequins down. I do not sew them. So this one I actually already answered this one. But where do I get my sequins? I get my sequins from Cartwright.com, and that's with 2 C's. Of course, link in the description below. I love those guys. I've been getting sequins from them for years and years and years. They're super fast at shipping them out. I get them like, and pow, they're at my door. I don't know how. Beautifully packaged. I definitely recommend those guys. Again, I'm not sponsored. I just love them, and I just want to share the love. I just want to share the love. So that's where I get my sequins from. So for this, yes, I do heat set my paint. I do it in stages. As I'm working, you'll often see me in the videos, I'll have a blow dryer on hand. That is sort of my initial pre-heat setting, but what you do want to do, and you want to pop in a couple of movies because this takes a long time. Per section, I do it for about 5 minutes with the iron, and I do it on the cotton setting with no water, I think. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And I do it with a sheet in between. There will be a video on this coming up when I get to that stage. But I do that before all the extra details. So I do that, the base color with the scales, and you do not want to do it with any glue, and you do not want to do it with your sequins, or if you do choose to use that tulip paint, you do not want to do the heat setting with that. You want to do it before you add all those details. So yes, heat setting your tail is definitely important, while for the most part, the paint, once it's on that white fabric, it's not coming off. Again, I apologize for her. She's throwing a little tantrum because I'm not paying attention to her. So yes, heat setting your paint is going to be really important. You don't want that just running out into the water, at the pool or in the ocean. You want to make sure that's heat set properly. Open your windows because that stuff stinks when it's getting heat set. Lock the birds and the dogs away. Get the fans going. If you're sensitive to it like I am, you can wear a respirator like a mask. But yes, I do heat set my paint. Okay, so by far, above all, the most commonly asked question, can you make me a tail? Can I make you a tail? I wish I could make everybody tails. I really do. I wish that it was possible to do the job that I love doing full-time and somehow make mermaid tails full-time at the same time. I need there to be like 2 of me. I really do, because it would be like the best. No, sadly, I cannot make you a mermaid tail. I am thinking of opening for commissions again soon-ish, maybe in the new year. If I do, it's probably going to be for my local MERS only. Just dealing with shipping and all of that stuff is just, it's more than my little brain can handle. And they take me so long. And I love that you guys ask me if I could. I'm so flattered. I really am. I think it's just the coolest thing that there's people who want my art and what I do. But because it really is art, like I really do pour my heart and soul into these, I feel like what I would have to charge to make it make it, yeah, it wouldn't be fair for you guys, and it wouldn't be fair for me if and so it's a whole thing, maybe one day if I find a really good way to do it faster, I am thinking of doing just the plain spandex tails, for sale again maybe in the future, again on a very select basis, again because these take me so long. I have to really love what it is I'm doing, otherwise I just don't want to put the time into it. So I would have to be really select about the tails that I choose to do, the designs, and I would have to have a lot of say in what they look like artistic say. But yeah, thank you so much. It really does mean a lot to me, and it is very flattering that people like my work so much that they're asking me to make tails. It's really cool. Anyways, those are the top 10 questions that I get asked. I really hope this was helpful, and of course links to everything I've discussed will be in the description below. Feel free to comment. If you are interested in a more personal kind of a one-on-one tail making, you have questions for your specific tail, a problem that you're facing, don't forget to check me out on Patreon, because on Patreon you can actually have one-on-one time with me in the patron-only feed and the section there, so you can ask me questions on there and actually get my opinions on specific areas and problems that you're having and that kind of thing. There's also a possibility to get early access to some of my videos, and also to be featured in the credits of my videos, which is pretty cool. I guess. I don't know. Anyways, so that's just another really good resource. And of course, it's my lovely patrons who I can thank, who make it possible for me to make all of these mermaid school videos. Without you guys, I couldn't do it. So it's amazing that you guys help me out the way that you do, and I really appreciate it, and I don't say it enough, and my bird is really excited about it, apparently. And of course, to all my subscribers, you guys mean the world to me. This has been it was a hard year. It's really kind of coming together now, and I feel like it's largely due to the support that I'm getting from you guys in this amazing community. So thank you so much. I hope this was helpful. Again, be sure to stay tuned. Next week I will be back with the tail making tutorials. Hopefully I'm going as fast as I can, but life is kind of throwing me some curveballs, and so I'm a little bit behind on my scale painting, but I'll get there. Also, don't forget, I do my weekly vlogs on Mondays. I do fun, miscellaneous, crazy stuff. You never know what you're gonna get on Fridays. And Wednesdays are, of course, as you know here, mermaidschool.ca updates. So, yes. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys in my next video. Okay, bye!